Representative Byron Donald is the first defector of people who voted for Kevin McCarthy in the first two rounds and then switched over to Jim Jordan. What am I talking about? This speaker vote has become a spectacle in a good way. We need to hash this stuff out. It is a Republican Civil War type of thing, but this is good. It's between the corporates and the populists. I was disappointed initially when Byron Donalds supported Kevin McCarthy. This is before today, January 3rd, when the vote popped off. His explanation for why he pivoted and then started to vote for Jim Jordan, which is the one that the Matt Gaetz, Lauren Boebert, Paul Gosar, Andy Biggs, Scott Perry, all of them want. He switched over because he's like, wait a second, this hasn't happened in 100 years. You didn't get the votes, Kevin McCarthy, in the first round. You didn't get the votes in the second round. Why don't we take a recess? You don't have the votes. Why are you putting us through this again? It's becoming selfish is my interpretation. Here's what he did. He said as an explanation, Byron Donald, excellent job here.
We must talk to Congressman Byron Donalds of the great state of Florida. Byron, welcome back to the show. Happy New Year. Why did you vote for Jim Jordan? I thought you were for Kevin McCarthy.
Well, look, I voted for Kevin on the first two ballots, and it's just not clear that he has the votes. It's pretty clear now, and it's getting tougher in that room. Look, do I think Kevin has an ability to maybe get there? Yeah, but there's a lot of work to be done. And I think just if you're going to ask members to vote over and over and over again to try to wear people down, I think it actually has the opposite effect. My view has been for us to call a recess, get in a room, figure it out, have those conversations, and then go back to the floor, when we know we have.
That's what an authentic person sounds like. When I'm listening to these politicians, if you were in that position, I'd be like, wait a second, why are we still voting? Let's get in a room and figure it out and not come out until we got it figured out. This is foolishness.
Have somebody prepared to get 218, but it's not.
If you don't know what's happening, they're going through rounds of votes. What's happening is you have to get a majority of those who voted. So right now, with everybody voting, it's 218. Hakeem Jeffries actually has more votes than Kevin McCarthy, but he doesn't have 218, so there's no speaker. And if you don't, then you keep doing it. And you keep doing it over and over and over again. There's no speaker, nobody's sworn in, there's no House rules until this is done. And this could happen every day for the rest of the year. It's not, but it could happen. Any rule, like taking a break, like he's saying, would have to be voted upon. But we're in uncharted territory, so everybody's a little unsure about where this is heading.
It's not Kevin McCarthy right now, and quite frankly, it doesn't look like it's anybody. So we should not be on the floor voting. That is my point, and that's where I think we should be going. And with respect to Jim Jordan, I think Jim will make actually a tremendous speaker. He will be a very good person to represent House Republicans to do the job on behalf of the American people.
Well, Jim Jordan is a brilliant conservative and good at anything he tries to do. He is a very dear friend of mine for several decades.
So you saw there that Byron Donald wanted to make sure that he didn't rub Kevin McCarthy the wrong way. A very powerful, no matter what happens, he's very powerful, and he could be very spiteful. So, but Byron Donalds also said, wait a second, you need to be checked. So what it sounds like to me is that he voted that way to send a message to Kevin McCarthy that we need to get into a room. That's really why Byron Donalds voted that way.
So I understand that. But he nominated McCarthy on the second ballot. I don't know that Jim is really running. I mean, listen, Byron, you are a great friend. You're a great friend of the show. I'm just concerned, not for you per se, but for some others, that this is about personalities and not about policies. Because I think Kevin McCarthy is certainly a conservative record, who's brought the Republican House up the last two cycles. So I'm just not sure I see the case against him. And he's given you, I don't know if he's given it to you, what your request was, but he has acceded to at least one demand, and that is with 5 Republican votes on the floor, they'll vacate the chair and have a vote of no confidence. So I just, you tell me, Byron, what's the case against McCarthy at this point?
Well, I haven't asked Kevin for anything. Like I said, I voted for him on the first two ballots. But at the end of the day, you got to close the deal. I mean, this is nothing new. There's been disagreements about could he get to 218 votes on the floor for 2 months now. And so the biggest issue is if you can't close this deal, at what point do members start looking elsewhere? Because we do have to organize Congress. We do have to elect the Speaker of the House, but you have to have 218 votes. It's not just about having a majority of the Republican conference. It's having a majority of the committee of the whole, which is the full body. So you have to get there. And so I think right now he's not there. So you have to start looking at alternatives. Look, when I was in business, if you couldn't get the deal done, you got to go look somewhere else.
Based, man, beyond belief. He's like, what are you talking about? What's the case for McCarthy? What's not the case for McCarthy? I voted for him on the first 2 rounds. He didn't get there. You idiot, what are you talking about? He's the one that has to get the votes. I don't work for that dude. Get there. Close the deal. You can't do it.
That's not a personal slight against Kevin McCarthy. That's the reality of what's unfolding on the House floor right now. I believe we should be taking a recess to go and speak as members and figure this thing out and then come back in and have another round of ballots. But to continuously vote after vote after vote like this is not, I think, in the best interest of the Republican conference right now.
Byron, is this third ballot over? Is it completed?
No, it's actually happening right now as we speak.
How many, maybe you can give us just like a play-by-play for a football game or baseball. How many nay votes does Mr. McCarthy have at this point?
The last number I saw was maybe six, seven,
right,
which already puts you in the negative column. And I think they were only halfway through the alphabet. So there was more to go. Look, at the end of the day, do I believe Republicans are going to figure this out? Of course, we are going to elect a speaker. We're going to get that work done. But I think it's important for the American people to understand that unlike the Democrats who just do leadership by acclamation, we are actually having a deliberative process about what leadership looks like in the House of Representatives. We know Washington does not work. So having that deliberative discussion, which in some parts is messy at times, is in the long term in the best interest of America and of the body of the House of Representatives.
He basically said, we're not in a cult. I know you guys think we're in a cult, but you are actually the ones in the cult. That's why when Nancy Pelosi snaps her fingers, you all do whatever the hell she wants you to do. Much respect to Byron Donalds. Let me know what you think. Take care.